There is one thing that I do want to mention,
Yep.
and that's Call of Duty.
Mm.
It's coming to Game Pass. And it's
Yes.
coming to Game Pass. I think as of recording, it should be tomorrow or Friday. So when this goes live, it'll most likely
tomorrow,
be it'll most likely be on Game Pass, and that's Call of Duty Black Ops 6, as well as we've already recently had Modern Warfare 3, and we've got Call of Duty Warzone. That's on there as well. But Black Ops 6 coming to Game Pass day one is going to be very interesting because if you remember, so back in 2023, in order to get the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft had to agree to give like the distribution rights, or I think it was distribution or streaming rights or something like that, to for Call of Duty.
Streaming.
They had to, yeah, streaming rights. They had to sell it off, and they sold it off to Ubisoft. Now, Ubisoft, in this case, has sold the rights back to Microsoft. Yes, I don't screw your face up. I looked this up. So Ubisoft has the streaming rights to Call of Duty Black Ops 6. They have sold those rights, or at least or rented those rights out to Microsoft, so that way they can have Black Ops 6 come day one on Game Pass. Because as an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you will be able to stream it.
The cloud rights.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, Microsoft could not have these rights to get the sale across. So they sold it off to Ubisoft, and they're like, "Oh, for this game, you can have it back."
Yeah.
So basically, nothing's happened really.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
They got it at the end. Yeah.
I guess it's probably
you'll grind your teeth.
Probably not the terminology, right? Like they haven't sold the rights back; they've just given them the rights for this game.
Well, that's like,
I know what you mean. I'm just
giving
just
them
so you don't get
rights.
the one guy in the comment
they
going,
had to pay for it,
yeah.
Or the one guy,
Okay, no, that's interesting. I mean, this is a big test bed, right? Like, if anything's going to prove, kill, or not Game Pass, it's Call of Duty. It's one of the biggest games in the world, one of the biggest releases each year. It's going to be super interesting to see the effect on what what Call of Duty does to Game Pass.
So I can tell you what it's going to look like from both ends.
Yeah,
so let's say that this is successful. If Call of Duty Black Ops 6 launching day one on Game Pass, also available for streaming for Ultimate subscribers, if it is successful for Call of Duty and they consider it a success. So the way that we would deem it successful, I would say, is probably active users, Game Pass subscriber intake. Like that's probably going to be our best metrics to measure on, which we can't get, but that's what internally that's what Microsoft would be looking at. Then they'll be talking about how Game Pass is a juggernaut and that how like some powers need to be stripped. If Call of Duty is a failure and that it doesn't give a bump in subscribers and that it sells well on PlayStation but nobody's really playing it on Xbox or whatever it may be, I can tell you right now the storyline will most likely be that the last Call of Duty we had, which was Modern Warfare 3, which was the sequel to the remake of Modern Warfare 2 or reboot or whatever, that was one of the lower selling Call of Duty games of all time in recent time and was considered a commercial failure. And now, of course, because that was a commercial failure, Black Ops 6 will be a commercial failure.
See, I
think it's going to be a storyline either way.
I think this is my view on it. I think the story is going to be positive initially, and what I mean by that is Black Ops typically sells well. Like the Black Ops name is nearly as big as Call of Duty. Like that typically means sales, right? So I think what they will probably want to look at internally is what money comes in from Call of Duty in any given year, and that incorporates copies sold plus microtransactions. X number, right? That's the combined number that we typically see each year. Obviously, they're going to see a decrease in sales, but what they're, I guess, hoping for is a bump in Game Pass and then more people playing the game and spending more on microtransactions. So as long as that number is higher or thereabouts to what Call of Duty typically does, I think they will see that as a win, because I think their biggest fear is like people sign to Game Pass or have Game Pass, play it, and then don't spend $1 on it, and it's just added for free, in quotes. or people sign to Game Pass, play it for a month, and then drop out. So I think my view on it is what's going to happen. The game's going to launch. Xbox are going to say, this has been our most successful launch into Game Pass in terms of new subscribers, which is, I don't think anyone was going to doubt that wouldn't be the case.
Well, it's not going to be Starfield or Halo.
No, that will be the news, and that will be it. They will not talk sales
about it.
Yeah, it will just be like, it was the biggest launch in any game in Game Pass history. We saw the biggest increase in new subscribers. There's more people playing Call of Duty this year than previous years. And then that will have people on both sides debating. You'll have the Xbox guys saying, there you go, look, it's still making money, blah, 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 blah. And then the PlayStation guys are just going to be arguing that the fact that, yeah, there's more people playing it, but it doesn't mean it's more profitable, blah, 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 blah. So I don't think we're ever going to...
doesn't make a profit, right?
Yeah, and I don't think we're ever going to get that level of information. But I think we're going to hear the good news story out of Microsoft. We saw that with Halo and stuff, right? Like, they say that, even though Halo's development and post-development and post-launch has been a bit of a disaster, the initial thing was like, even Starfield, right? We saw an increase in subscribers. So that's going to be the case. The only way we'll know if it's a real success is if we get updated Game Pass numbers next year, and it's like it's gone from 30 to 35 or whatever to 50 million or 40 million. And it's like, well, we actively increased and then kept those subscribers, and Call of Duty made the same amount of money, if not more, than it has in previous years.
Well, we'd also probably be waiting on the Activision Blizzard investor
financial.
Yeah, like, because at least they're going to have to say, well, okay, well, this is like, we can have a look and see what the breakdown was from the year before to the current year, and you can compare that to previous Black Ops releases. And
well, that's where it gets a little tricky, where they would have had an Activision ABK investors call where they would have those questions. Now it's going to be absorbed into Microsoft. So,
or would they still do it individually though? Don't they? Still
they might. They would ask. They would be like, "Well, how did Call of Duty perform?" And they're going to answer basically what I just said. We saw the biggest increase in Game Pass numbers, and the most players playing the game that we've ever seen. Like, that type of response. So unless this goes completely bonkers, in both directions, like I said, people sign up and then unsub, or don't sign up and don't play, then that's going to be an interesting thing to follow. But my prediction is, hey, it's the most people playing the game. Hey, it's the most subscriber increase. But unless we see next year a update to the Game Pass numbers, and it's sizable, then that will determine it. My prediction is we'll see an increase, maybe over November, December, January, but I don't see this carrying on, because I think there's an audience who buys Call of Duty every year, and that's what they play, maybe that and one or two other games. I think those people will still just buy the game, because over the course of a year, if that's what you're playing as your primary game, and you're not really playing anything else, it's actually cheaper to just buy the game, which Microsoft's happy with. So I think that's going to happen. There's going to be new people. There's going to be the Game Pass people who are already subscribed who are going to play it because, hey, it's Call of Duty and it's there and I've already got Game Pass. And there will be people like, maybe if I wasn't so caught up in what I was playing at the moment, that would also sign up just to play it. But unless those people are staying subscribed, I mean, you get $15 out of me to play for a month, but that's $70 or $55, $60, $70 less than you would have got if I purchased it. So I don't think we'll ever know. I think they will know. They'll definitely know. But just expect most played, most increase to Game Pass numbers. But unless we get next year updated numbers for Game Pass
subscribers,
that will be the key. And if we hear nothing, that means it didn't work.
See, I think we'll probably hear it maybe February. I'm thinking after Avowed. I think they if it's positive and they're going to tell us, I reckon they'll wait till after Avowed, because they want to talk their first party titles.
Yeah, they'll probably wait to, I would say, maybe the end of Q1, and then they do their...
So end of March.
Yeah, they'll do their quarterly. And that will get asked. That will get asked, 100% to your point. That will get, how did Call of Duty affect Game Pass?
See, I reckon that's also leads into a topic that we could do on another show, is like, these sorts of figures. Is it better for us to have transparency on like subscriber numbers and that sort of stuff? Or, is it better to kind of have them in the smoke and mirrors sort of show, and we just have to speculate?
My view on it is, and it's kind of actually changed over the past year or years.
Do you want to keep it for another podcast?
No, it's literally short. It's literally in the sense that, like, we don't need to know. We never asked this for anything else in terms of like Netflix. It's just, it is what it is. But it's up to the people who are talking on podcasts or on YouTube who are doing these things to just use a little bit of an IQ and some research and not just go off what they tell us. Because, and this is for all three of the big three, right? Because they all just tell us what we want to hear, and they're not telling us what is happening behind the scenes. Nor should they. Why would they? They're not going to be like, sign to Game Pass and all the ads, and then come out in an interview with IGN and be like, we're losing so much money, man, behind the scenes, and, you know, game. Why would they do that? So they're going to just say what is factually true, but don't just take it on face value. Again, when they said that Game Pass was profitable, everyone out there was saying that this means Game Pass is profitable, and this means that, you know, it is working and it's sustainable. But we didn't know what profitable meant. Were they taking into account the actual game development and the cost of running studios? Probably not. If they're talking money in and money out, well then yes, it was profitable. But just use your IQ a little bit, people, and just shift through the bullshit. And
they're looking at titles of articles. They're not looking at the actual meat and potatoes.
Yeah, and that's half the problem. So anyway, that's enough of that. Yeah. I'd say.
All right.
Okay, host. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just like, this hay fever's really taking me out for a whack. But thank you for listening. It has been quite I think a really good show. It's good to catch up. We haven't spoken in a while, and plenty's gone on both camps, and we'll be back to our usual fortnightly cadence. So you're actually lucky we recorded this one a little late, so this will be up in the morning, tomorrow morning. So we're going to do some work behind the scenes to get this one up and running. But thank you for listening. This has been episode 14 of Busy Playing Something. I've been your host for this evening, Joshua LaRosa, joined by Sean Harron. Again, find us on YouTube at Busy Playing Something, podcast feeds, Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Busy Playing Something, 5-star us, all that fun things. You can find us on Twitter at busy_playing, myself at Joshua LaRosa, and Sean at Holly DePrawn. We'll see you next fortnight. Stay active, stay sexy, if you can. And, you know, look up some photos of Donald Trump working at McDonald's, because let me tell you, I thought that was AI art. And then when I realized that was real, man, that, you know, politics aside, that man is funny. Like, he's hilarious.
But I just want to mention two things about that, by the way, before we wrap up.
Yeah.
About Trump working at McDonald's. So two things. So firstly, the only reason he worked at the McDonald's is because he's jumping on the fact that he thinks Kamala Harris didn't work at McDonald's, and she said she did.
Yeah.
So because he thinks that's the case, he's jumping on. He's like, I'm going to work at McDonald's. I'll show her up.
It's nearly Larry David level of like spite, right? It's like, you didn't actually work there, so I'm going to prove it somehow by going there and working there.
It's an Arrested Development skit. And the second part of it is that he didn't actually work there. There was the signs out the front of the store, like on the windows and stuff, saying, "Hey, we're going to be closed from like 11."
Oh yeah, it was all his supporters.
Yeah, it was like, we're closed from 11 to 4 because we've got President Trump coming out. Like, we're not into politics, but like, you know, it's good for the area, yada yada yada. So like, he didn't even cook fries for anybody.
It was just all the supporters that came through, and then they're like, "You took a bullet for us, Mr. President." Oh, America. Anyway. God bless you. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in a fortnight. Catch.